creepy peeps, and welcome to day 8 of Shocktober. Today we're going to be talking about Diary of the Dead. First, as most of you probably know, Diary of the Dead is the fifth It's the fifth. Sorry, I was counting off the order in my head. It's the fifth installment of George A. Romero's Dead series, his series of zombie movies. This one in particular is a found footage film about a group of college-aged filmmakers who, you know, encounter the zombie apocalypse while they're filming their own horror movie. As you can imagine, this is a very, very self-reflective found footage horror movie. It's all about the media and our consumption of media and our consumption of film and television and things like that. So I'm at like a crossroads here. I was at a crossroads here watching this movie because I really like self-reflective horror, but I typically don't like found footage, so this one was a hard one for me to watch. That being said, the only thing I can really say I liked about Diary of the Dead was its self-reflective nature, although I will come back to that point a little bit later in the dislike section. I do like that. I think I liked it at the start. I think I really appreciated the self-reflective nature and like what it was saying about how we consume media, particularly the news. I think nowadays this movie would be really important. So if somebody made a remake of this movie and focused more on like the news aspect of it, I think it would do really well. I think we're kind of at a point right now with the news media that this would be really poignant. Anyways, and I did like the premise. It was interesting, even though it was found footage. I like that it's kind of self-reflective even about found footage horror movies, because there's points where people stop and ask Jason, who's the main kind of filming guy, ask him why he's still filming, like, you know, and his like obsessive nature to document everything that's happening. Because we all reach that point in a found footage horror movie, right, where even you kind of ask yourself, like, why would you still be filming? Like, I can understand you filming up until this point, but there's a point where you should just drop the camera and go. So I like that this movie kind of picks at that. But right, let's get into what I didn't like about Diary of the Dead, because it's going to be one of those classic moments where Vicky just goes off. I'm not going to rant or anything, but there was a lot I did not like about this movie. The first thing I really don't like is it kind of doesn't fit in with the rest of the series, and that just irks me. Like, because Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and Land of the Dead, to me kind of have like they're almost like a progression. Like, not even just like like they're kind of, yeah, it just seems more like, even though they kind of deal with different characters and things like that, obviously it's in the same universe, so is Diary of the Dead, but they feel more chronological, I guess. Diary of the Dead is like, we're kind of going back to where the apocalypse starts again, and I don't know, just to me it doesn't fit in with the rest of the series, and that bugs me. I also do not appreciate I guess I should say, in the movie, like the events of the movie take place over about 2 days ish, like 2.5 days, and you can see, because every so often a date and time will kind of pop up in the camera to give you some sort of awareness as to where they are or how much time has passed. So the movie takes place over like 2.5 days, like from the start of the apocalypse, like so they kind of have to figure out what's going on, and they have to figure out to shoot the zombies in the head and stuff like that. They have to figure all that out that's not known already. But the way some of these kids are talking and acting, it's like they've seen some shit or something. Like, they're I just couldn't help but notice, like, they talk and act like they're in like season 6 of The Walking Dead. Like like they've seen some shit, like it's been a long ass time that they've had to survive, and they're seasoned, and they're, you know, scarred in the brain and things like that, and it just didn't make any sense. Like, they're all talking like they're super wise and they like have a very good handle of what's going on, and I don't know, it just really bugged the shit out of me because it just didn't make any sense. Like, they're college kids, so they should just be like freaking out basically and running around screaming like, what the fuck is going on? But that's just, I don't know, they just don't act that way, and it is weird. I don't know, it just doesn't fit to me. It doesn't fit. With found footage, you know, so like they make it very clear that this is edited. One of the characters, Deborah, is narrating it from some point in time after the events of the movie have ended. She is editing it together. She's included a voiceover every so often. She even points out that she's added music to it. So you know it's edited together, but there's just like really dumb parts where they come, like where they're able to acquire footage that doesn't come from their two cameras. In particular, when they first get brought in by those like National Guard guys or whatever. That kind of like, I don't know, if you've seen the movie, it's the first kind of like survivors they encounter right after the Amish guy. I don't know what to call their group. Like the leader guy said he was in the National Guard. But right, anyways, one of the kids is able to like snag their security camera footage from what, the Wi-Fi or something. I don't really understand how he said he got it, but he's just able to do that, and he just thought to do that on the way in, like, oh, let me just get this footage from their cameras for our movie. It just didn't make no sense. It didn't make any sense. And it wasn't really necessary. They could have just used the footage from the two cameras and it would have been fine for all the events that happened in that warehouse. It didn't make any sense. CGI, this movie is only 10 years old, came out in 2007. The CGI did not age well. I will just say that. And I'm used to seeing that now, like when you see older movies and stuff, like usually the CGI doesn't age that well, like especially compared to what we have now. We can pick it out a mile away. This one really has not aged well. Like, it's one of the worst ones I've seen. Luckily they don't use it all that much, so when it does happen, it's few and far between, so that's like kind of the only redeeming quality in that. So back to what I said about kind of like the self-reflective nature, and it's kind of looking at, like, obviously he's making a movie, and so is Deborah because she edits it together, and she's constantly calling out Jason for filming all the time. And you know, she's making her point clear that, like, it almost feels like she's editing it together and making movie like to make a point herself about like us consuming media and consuming news and things like that. And I feel like it makes Romero's job, like, I feel like it kind of calls it into question. Like, it's almost problematic that he's making this point, because it's like, well, you're a filmmaker. Well, okay, I'm sorry, this is sad, but he was a filmmaker. Now I'm sad. Fuck. Points out, you know, like, you know, you're a filmmaker, you're making this movie yourself also, so isn't that kind of calling that into questions? Like, are you now making us question why we're watching your movie? I don't know, it just seems a little bit problematic. Yeah, so should you watch Diary of the Dead? I'm gonna go ahead and say no. I think I think there are way better movies in George A. Romero's Dead series than this one. I would put this one at the bottom. For me, anyways. But I can be very critical at times. I'm also very tired of zombie movies, so I probably was not in a good headspace to review this, honestly. I'm gonna give this a rating of 1 out of 5. Yeah, did enjoy it. On IMDb, though, it has a 5.7 out of 10. And Rotten Tomatoes has it as a 62% critic score, 41% audience score. And Roger Ebert gave it a 3 out of 4. I don't know. I guess hashtag unpopular opinion over here. So let me know if you've seen Diary of the Dead and tell me what you thought about it in the comment section down below. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here and become a Creepy Peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday, as well as a movie review every single day this month for Shocktober. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye.